So a lot of people are constantly asking me, before I had the Supra, what I drove, what kind of cars I had. This is the first car I built. I built a lot of cars before I bought the Supra. So what I'm going to do is take you back to when I first got my driver's license, show you some photos, show you some videos of every car, and how I arrived at the Supra. So growing up, my dad worked for a Toyota dealership, so I always wanted an MR2 or a Supra. A few years later, we moved to Tampa. We worked for a Mitsubishi dealership, so I wanted an Eclipse, and later on I wanted an Evo. My dad was always into muscle cars, so he convinced me to not get an import, and we started looking for a '69 Camaro. It took us a lot of years, but finally when I was 14 years old, we bought our first '69 Camaro. It was an original 302 Z28, yellow with black stripes. So the plan was to restore this car with my dad and have it ready by the time I was 16. As time went on, I got closer to 16, and my dad being in the car business, we didn't have a whole lot of time to work on the car. By the time my 16th birthday came around, we ended up selling the Camaro, and I ended up getting a four-door Dodge Ram Hemi. I don't have any photos or videos of it, because back then there weren't any camera phones. And I don't have an exact photo of it, but this is what the truck looked like. So that's what the truck looked like. Now at the time I was 16 years old, I was working at KFC, had to pay for my own gas and my own insurance, and that truck was really expensive. So I decided to get rid of the truck. Now back in the early 2000s, everybody wanted a mini truck. So I ended up getting rid of the Dodge Ram, and I got a dark green Mazda B3000 single cab that got traded in my dad's dealership. So after driving the Mazda for about a year, I realized I could not afford to mod it working at KFC. So I decided that when I turned 18, I was going to buy a brand new car. So I left KFC and I started selling cars at my dad's dealership. When I turned 18, and I don't know why, I ended up buying a brand new Scion XV. Looked just like that, 2005, and it was white. So back in 2005, the cool thing to do when modding your car was lights, TV screens, and a sound system. I had about 10 TV screens in the Scion, I had subwoofers, I had strobe lights underneath, you control with the remote. I used to ride around listening to music video DVDs, going to car shows. Had the Scion for a couple years. I ended up trading it in for a 2007 Volkswagen GTI. Now I do have pictures of that car, and I'm going to tell you the story of how I went from the Scion to the GTI. So this is how I ended up with the GTI. If you guys remember Rob with the silver Evo, he was actually my next door neighbor back then. At the time, he had a Subaru WRX bug-eye. Now I had never been in a turbo car, never heard a blow-off valve before. He took me for a ride around the neighborhood, did a couple pulls down the street, and I was hooked. We came back home, I hopped on the computer, started doing some research, and I traded my Scion in the very next day for a 2007 red Volkswagen GTI 2.0 turbo. So right away I started modding the GTI. I ordered an intake, an exhaust, and I had the car tuned. Now I had nothing but problems with this car. I ordered an HKS blow-off valve, but back then, and this was the first year for the 2.0 T motors, you couldn't have a blow-off valve atmospheric on that car. It had to recirculate. After riding the WRX, the whole reason for buying a turbo car was to get a blow-off valve. So after 6 short months, I traded this car in. Now at the time, I had spent so much money on modding cars that I was completely done, said I'm never modding another car again. Traded in the GTI and bought a brand new 2007 Passat that I knew I wasn't going to touch. So after driving the Passat for a few years, I was ready to get back into cars. I hopped on Craigslist and I found an S13 240SX with an SR20 motor in it. I took it to Mako, I paid $500 to have it painted Bayside blue. I ordered some gold XXRs off eBay and I hit the streets. Alright, so at this point I had the Passat as a daily and I drove the 240 on weekends. I drove the 240 for about another year, at which point all my friends started buying motorcycles. So I sold my 240 and I bought a brand new 2008 GSXR 1000. Now at the time, I'd never been on a motorcycle before. I bought it from Barney's in Brandon, they trailered it to the house, and I started practicing around the neighborhood. Before you know it, I was on the highway, across the bridge, going to Quaker Steak. So after about a year of watching all my friends crash and selling their bikes, I decided it was time to sell mine too. So I sold the bike, I traded in the Passat, and I ended up with a brand new 2011 Hyundai Genesis Coupe R-Spec 2.0 Turbo. And this is when things started to get serious. Here's what it looked like when I first bought it. So this is what my Genesis looked like when I first bought it. I went ahead and ordered some lowering springs, full exhaust, blow-off valve that actually did work this time, and an intake, front mount intercooler, just a couple minor things to start off. So this is when it really started to get serious for me. I was going to car shows every weekend. I ordered a set of 20-inch Vossen CV2s, carbon fiber hood, and an aftermarket front bumper. Here's what the back of the car looked like. I had a pair of Super Lux taillights, carbon fiber rear diffuser, and a carbon fiber trunk. So at this point, there was nothing else I could do to the outside of the car, and I was tired of having the slowest car. So I ordered a Turbonetics 50 trim turbo kit. So after we put the turbo kit on, we street tuned the car, we did some polls, and we took it to the track. Here's some videos of me ripping it back in 2012. And here's what the Genesis looked like right before I parted it out. So like I mentioned earlier, I really wanted an Evo. At the time, I was making like $10 an hour. When I got a promotion at my job, I parted out the Genesis. I bought a brand new 2014 Wicked White Evo X. Now right away, I put some coilovers on it, a full exhaust, intake, and I got the car tuned. Now this is when I first met Victor and Alpha from Induction Performance. Alpha actually tuned my Evo X. Here's a video of the Evo on the dyno. So after full bolt-ons and a tune, I decided to get some wheels and a front lip. I ordered some white RPF 1s and a Voltex front lip. Now here's a video of me trying to get my slammed Evo up my driveway. So the Evo was pretty much done, and the Supra had always been my dream car. I was at work, looking on Craigslist, looking at Supras like I always do. I came across this one, it was local to me. It was listed for 22 grand. I ended up paying 18 grand for it. Alright, so at this point I've got the Evo and I've got the Supra. I kept the Evo for about another 6 months, and I realized I didn't need 2 race cars. I ended up parting out the Evo, trading it in for a brand new 2015 Hyundai Elantra. I knew I wouldn't mod it. Now this is where the story gets really funny. I had this Hyundai Elantra for like 6 to 8 months, and at the time, I didn't do anything to the Supra because I wasn't making a ton of money. I was super bored of driving the Elantra, so I traded it back in for, guess what? Another Evo X. It was a 2015 Octane Blue. Now this is where it gets really funny. I had just finished selling all the parts off the white Evo when I decided to buy them all back again for the blue Evo. So we did full bolt-ons and a tune. Here's a video of the blue Evo on the dyno. So now I'm right back to where I was again. I got another Evo with full bolt-ons, and I got the Supra. I got another promotion at my job and decided it was now time to build the Supra. So that meant getting rid of the Evo once again. I parted out the Evo, ended up selling it, and got a white Scion XB, which I currently drive today. And in case you guys haven't seen, here's some racing and some anti-lag videos of the Supra. 2018, we do plan on buying a project car, so keep leaving comments and let me know what you guys want to see. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.